Yo, what's up everyone? Kyrios here, and today I'm going to show you where to use your gold ciphers, and I'm going to show you a couple spoilers that are coming probably in the next patch or the next two patches on where to spend them. So we're going to jump back and forth between my CN account and my global account. In order to do that, I'm going to tier off the ones that you should be doing, and we'll pretty much talk about every single world boss. So if you guys can, hit that like and subscribe. Go check out our stuff on the Tower of Fantasy playlist, and let's get started. Quickly, before we get into the review of all the matrices, two of these bosses are not out yet, depending on when you're watching the video, so please keep that in mind. There is a strategy where you might want to save your gold ciphers if you're really trying to be optimized, considering the number one I'm about to show you isn't here yet. So just keep that in mind, but you know, at some point you got to be able to play the game and have fun too. So have a little bit of fun, don't worry too much about it, and let's get through the review. All right, once again, before we get started, hit the chapters down below. I'm going to do these in the order of events that I think are super important. Now, it depends on if you're a healer, tank, or DPS. That's going to change your priority slightly, so please take that into account. But some of these matrices are way better than others, whether you're a tank or a DPS or anything like that. So let's go ahead and go through it. So here we are on my CN account. Now, for the first one, that's the most important one, in my opinion, that we are not going to see in global, depending on when you're watching this for a little bit, is going to be in the artificial island. Now, you guys don't have the artificial island. If you've seen my video on my housing guide, I'll put it somewhere above my head. Check that out. There's a lot of cool stuff on the way. So we're going to go ahead and head on over to the artificial island, where there's two different world bosses here. All right, here we are in the artificial island, and you can say hello to the first world boss that's super important. Please don't attack me. Say hello to the dragon. You've actually probably fought him before in one of the dungeons, but he is a world boss now, or she, or something. But has one of the best matrices that you can get. You can see that this world boss has Samir's matrix. So going over the Samir's matrix, the two-piece is absolutely wonderful. You can put this on every DPS you have. Like, you can literally put this on Samir. You can put this on Shiro if that's your main DPS, if you're running like a healing comp for some reason. You could put it on Cobalt. You could put it on Ruby. You could put it on Frigg. You could put it on you could put it on Tsubasa. You could put it on literally everyone who's a DPS. You could put it on Crow. It fits everyone. It's such a good matrix. One of the best matrices out there. Now, unfortunately, we did get hit with a little bit of nerf. The CN version is better, but they are changing all the values up. So it's probably still very good, but increases damage progressively by 1% upon hitting the target, stacking 10 times, lasting 1.5 seconds. So if you're attacking a lot, you're gonna get a 10% damage boost. Now, if it's fully max broken, 20% damage boost. And then the 4-piece increases dual electrical explosions. Now, what I like is go after the 4-piece, put it on your Samir. That's actually really good. And then when you get to the point that you want to bench Samir, so maybe you're making a Volt team and you eventually get like Bayuka, right? Like you get that replacement, right? I'm just gonna call her Bai. I always mispronounce her name. You can actually just shift that 2-piece to 2 different characters, which is really, really, really good. So that's probably our number one pick when it comes to a world boss. Now, we don't have access to this, so let's skip on, move down the line. The next one will probably be number one for us in global. All right, next up, we do have the flower boss. Unfortunately, the flower boss on this server has already been taken down. I already killed it once myself, but we have King's Matrix. King's Matrix is very good for all your shatter breakings. So if we go on over, you can see the 2-piece of King's Matrix, when the target is shattered, grants 8% damage boost for 25 seconds. So you can switch the King, break that shield, switch to your main DPS, and you've got a damage boost, and that's really, really, really good. Now, what I do like about this is the 2-piece of King does fit on a lot of different people, from King to Meryl to Shiro to any of your shatter breakers. You can even use it on Saki if you really wanted to. A very good 2-piece. Now, the 4-piece I'm not too thrilled with, so I wouldn't go for a 4-piece on literally anyone. The 2-piece is just perfect as it is. All right, I'm having no luck tonight. This world boss is actually down too. That's what typically happens in the CN version, is that you know, when you're really bored, you just can go around and pretty much solo these old world bosses at this point, and they're still very viable in order to get matrices. So something to look forward to when you get there. But the next one I would say is Lucia. I believe this is Lucia. I'm not on my I'm not on my global version, but the one that drops Shiro's matrix. Now, Shiro's matrix is actually really good, especially when you link it with two-piece king. So increases both the damage and the shatter to targets with more than 50% health. Now, I usually don't like situational matrices, but in the beginning, this is going to help you out, right? Increases damage and shatter. So for any of those world bosses or any of those big bosses, it's going to help you out in the beginning. It won't help you out later, but you know, under 50%, it's going to be, you know, close to dead. But that is a really big perk. So if you mix this with two-piece king, two-piece Shiro, a very, very, very good piece on any of your shield breakers. Now, the four-piece I'm not too excited about when entering battle. Increases damage for 20 seconds, resets 5 seconds. Now, this is actually great and terrible at the same time. Her four-piece can be used on anyone, any of your DPS. And it's great for anything where you're going to go into battle and you're assuming you're going to down that boss or anything within 20 seconds. If that's the case, this is one of the best four pieces out there. So when you're, even though this is number 3 on the list, this is literally one of the best out there, but it's not best if you're going to be in a longevity fight. So if you're going to be in a longevity fight, you want to reduce that 4-piece and bump it down to a 2-piece and mix them together. All right, so that finally brings us to Sobek. So actually, Sobek is has got 2 good matrices, but only situational matrices, even though I do love the SR as well. So let's bring it on over and let's talk about that real quick. Let's talk about Crow's Matrix. Crow's Matrix, even though the 4-piece sounds good, it's really not used on a lot of people. That damage over time, it just is not the greatest 4-piece in the world. But the 2-piece is actually really good. Increases crit damage to targets with less than 60% health. Now, there's not a lot of people outside of Crow that will actually use this, mainly because Crow has that increased crit rate and everything like that from backstabbing. So there's really, and until you hit crit cap and you're critting a lot, there's just way better matrices that you can use. So the 2-piece is good if you're going to farm it and you're a Crow main. So if you're a Crow main, you get that 2-piece. And this is number 4 on the list. But the real reason this is number 4 on the list, and I know I haven't really touched on the SR matrices besides in my matrix guide, it's mainly because of Sobek right here. And Sobek's 3-piece is absolutely cracked. If you have to use an SR matrix because you don't have SSR matrices, increases damage dealt by 6%, 7.5, 9% for each enemy nearby, stacking 3 times. This is great for your shield breakers. This is great for your damage. This is great for everyone. You can put this on Samir. You can put this on King. You can put this on Meryl. You can put this on granted, Meryl's not really doing damage. There's some better ones out there for Meryl in my opinion, but you can put this on anyone that's in the mix, that's in a bunch of enemies. So this is actually a really good thing. This is probably this is actually the one I run right now on my Samir in order to get some more damage stacking, right? Because doing 18% more damage is just absolutely beautiful. Love it. And of course, Barbosa's missing. My luck is really bad today. All right, so looking at Barbosa, which is the Puppo mount. I really like Barbosa if you're a healing main. Now, you're going to say that's kind of weird, but let's look at that matrix real quick. If HP is less than 30% after being attacked, gain a shield for 15% of max HP for 10 seconds. Now, it's going to be a little funky, but if you're a Meryl tank main or you're a Zero support main or anything like that, this matrix actually synergizes very well with both those characters. It could even synergize with Coco if you're trying to heal and you're dying and stuff like that too. So like pairing it with like 2-piece Coco to get better healing capability, or even pairing it with 2-piece Zero when using a discharge to gain an additional shield. So if you have perks that give you shields, that give you more attack or anything like that, this is a really good thing. Now, the only thing I don't like about Meryl's is that I'm not a big fan of her 4-piece. Now, if you are a Meryl main and you got a 6-star Meryl, absolutely go for her 4-piece. It'll work out. Whirlwind damage equals upright, maximum HP restored. That's really good. As a tank, really good, but super situational. And it's not going to be good for Meryl per se, at C0 or S0 in my opinion. It's once you start getting some of those stars and additional perks where she gets her own shields and more lifesteal from her abilities. But that 2-piece is good if you're just trying to be a tank, or you're trying to be a healer that's trying to stay alive to support people. Oh man, they're all gone. They are all gone. Well, next up we have the lizard boss, which is not here. I just have terrible luck today, guys. The lizard boss, not the biggest fan of this one. Really not the biggest fan. This is why we're starting to get to the end of the list. But this one does have Tsubassa's matrix. Now, Tsubassa's matrix is, if you're a Tsubasa main out there, I'm about to blow your mind a little bit. It's just not that good. So the 2-piece increases damage by 10% when there's no enemies within 4 meters. Good for Tsubasa, technically. Good for Shiro, technically. But then you have to really manage your range, right? So that means you're probably charging shots and you're staying off in the distance. You're not really auto attacking or doing the arrow rain or anything like that. You typically, as Tsubasa or Shiro, play as a mid ranger. So it'll sometimes it'll be on, sometimes it won't be. It'll be off because you just aren't managing that 4 meters, and it's not good in solo play either. It's only good in team play if you have like a tank that's keeping them busy. And then the headshot, I'm not a big fan of this either. Yes, it's really cool if you can land the headshot, swap to another character, do a big burst of damage or anything like that. But 8 seconds is not a long time, and then charging shots is not my favorite thing to do in this game due to flight lag and to the fact that sometimes charging shots is just very situational. All right, I need to do a little bit of a correction, so this video is going to be a little weird. This is probably 3rd worst, depending on when I clip this in here. But this boss right here is in the artificial island, which you guys will not have access to. But this one does have Zero's. Now, Zero's matrix is actually a pretty good matrix, but very situational. So you're really only going to probably use Zero's matrix on Zero. When using a discharge skill to switch to the current weapon, gain a shield for 4 seconds. Once again, this is better on the Chinese version. I haven't clicked this on most of the matrices, but if you go to towerfantasy.info, you can see that a lot of these are better on the Chinese version, mainly because of the seconds. 6 seconds is a lot better than 4 seconds. So it's not the greatest 2-piece given it's 4 seconds in global. But while you have a shield active, you and your teammates deal 16% more damage. Now this is what gets us into some really interesting combinations, right? So Zero's 4-piece can actually become pretty good, especially if you put that matrix, that Meryl 2-piece on a different character, right? So say I have Meryl's 2-piece, right? After 30% you get attacked, you get a shield for 10 seconds, and you swap to say whoever has the 4-piece zero on top of that. Really good synergy. So you can start combining some SSRs. But would I really go after this one as well? I wouldn't. And then finally, I'm not going to walk over to the Frostbot, but the Frostbot is literally the worst one there is. Huma's SSR matrix and the Frostbot matrix is not that great. So let's look at Huma's matrix, and then hitting targets with a dodge skill inflicts bleed. This is only really good for her. I mean, so let me take that back. You could put this on technically everyone because you're doing dodge skills all the time. But it's mainly because her dodge skill when she's in axe mode does a lot of AoE. But could you put this on King and Shiro and stuff like that? Yes, but you're really using them to shield break, and then you're swapping off them. So I'm not the biggest fan of any kind of dot. The bleed 15% is nothing to really write home about over 5 seconds. Maybe if it was like 8 or 10 seconds, it'd be a little bit better. But I'm not a big fan of this matrix, but it's good for her. The 4-piece does reduce attack of all targets in 8 meters. So if you are that tank and you do want to be that tank, you probably do want to go after 4-piece and grab this on one of your characters. So if you're using like Meryl and Huma, so that you're swapping between them, it's a good call. But this is very situational because not a lot of people are running tank, and even if you're running tank, you still have to run a little bit. You still have to be a shield breaker. You still have to have that tank synergy resonance, and then you still need to be able to supply being able to chip away at those shields or a little bit of healing. So you always have to flex, right? DPS needs to do a little bit of healing or tanking Tanky needs to do a little shield breaking or healing. Healing needs to do shield breaking or, you know, some other in a little bit of DPS as well. So you just got to keep that in mind. I'm not a big fan of either of these two matrices. And then I'm not a big fan of the Frostbot matrix. When HP is below 40%, using a discharge skill on the current weapon restores HP. Very situational, right? You got to time it. Not a big fan staying at low HP. Not a big fan of that. All right, guys, hopefully that helped you out, and hopefully I tiered that off correctly for you guys. If you guys did like the video, hit me up in the comments down below. Did you agree with my list? Are you going to save your gold ciphers now? Are you going to still use your gold ciphers? I would probably still use them, especially to get like two-piece King, Shiro, and a few others, and to round out your SR matrices from maybe like Sobek and a few others for some of your other characters. And then maybe start saving your gold ciphers for when we get that dragon boss and start farming it, right? If you guys haven't, we do have 2 guilds on Solaris. Come join us on any of our 2 guilds, the 𝙀𝙓𝙋𝘼𝙉𝘿 or the 𝙀𝙓 Supremacy. Once again, I do appreciate you. Like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video. Fist bump from me to you.